All right, we're going to make sure everything's live right before I get started here. Hello, and thanks for tuning in. I hope everything is working, because I don't have any way to... Oh, there we go. All right, never mind. Now we're good to go. So, anyway, what I wanted to discuss today was that Adobe Flash Player is slated to be phased out by the end of 2020. So let's take a look at the release from Adobe, which I'll get up on the screen here in just a moment. I'm kind of slow today, so bear with me, because I'm kind of tired. I got off work today and just decided I would do this. There we go. So, from blogs.adobe.com, posted on July 25th, 2017, Flash and the Future of Interactive Content. Adobe has long played a leadership role in advancing interactivity and creative content, from video to games and more, on the web. That's true. Adobe Flash Player is almost ubiquitous at this point. Where we've seen a need to push content and interactivity forward, we've innovated to meet those needs. I'm sure all of you are very familiar with the constant Flash updates that were necessary for the past 15 years to keep your machines secure. Where a format didn't exist, we invented one, such as with Flash and Shockwave. Although Macromedia actually did Shockwave, and Flash, I think, might have also been one of their spin-offs or something. But Adobe did end up buying them out. Fair enough. And over time, please don't start your sentences with "and" when you're writing professional journalism. As the web evolved, these new formats were adopted by the community, in some cases formed the basis for open standards, and became an essential part of the web. That's true. I'll bet you don't know anyone who hasn't dealt with Flash Player at one point or another. But as open standards like HTML5, WebGL, and WebAssembly have matured over the past several years, most now provide many of the capabilities and functionalities that plugins pioneered and have become a viable alternative for content on the web. Over time, we've seen helper apps evolve to become plugins, and more recently, have seen many of these plugin capabilities get incorporated into open web standards. Again, fair enough, HTML5 is pretty advanced compared with its predecessors. WebGL is definitely right up there. Let's take a look at something that's made with WebGL, actually. This. You might have seen PewDiePie playing it the other day. I thought it was a lot of fun. And for the most part, if you didn't realize they were different things, you probably wouldn't even care if it was Flash or WebGL. But as you can see here, it works about the same as Flash. You've got the advertising pre-rolls, just like you used to have on Newgrounds. And then you can get right into your game here, and you can have a lot of fun. But we're not here to watch me play games, so given this progress, and in collaboration with several of our technology partners, including Apple, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, and Mozilla, which is to say all the major front ends that you might use in your day-to-day life. Adobe is planning to end-of-life Flash. Specifically, we will stop updating and distributing the Flash player at the end of 2020 and encourage content creators to migrate any existing Flash content to these new open formats. So if you are a Flash creator, you may wish to start developing a new platform or developing on one of the new platforms, rather. But enough about that. Again, I think this is a logical thing for Adobe to do. They've been doing Flash for a very long time. I think Java is arguably the only thing that's been around longer in mainstream circulation. But Java's not the same thing. You know. They're different kind of embedded systems. Several industries and businesses have been built around Flash technology. Yes, a lot of them. Many of the games you still might play, or if you're fans of Newgrounds, or E-Bombs World, or Homestar Runner. Speaking of which, if you didn't catch it, there's been a couple new Strong Bad emails in the past year or so. I was kind of hoping they'd keep that going, but they didn't, and now they'll have to change it if they want it to be supported in 3 or more years. Including gaming, education, and video. Which reminds me, a lot of the old Shockwave and Flash stuff used to be on like the Dorling Kindersley educational CDs that you could get for various topics, including like the various encyclopedias you could get on disc back in the day. Of course, now you have Wikipedia and YouTube, so it doesn't matter as much, I suppose. And we remain committed to supporting Flash through 2020 as customers and partners put their migration plans into place. And realistically, this won't be nearly as difficult as changes in the past may have been, because now you have automatic compilers that are very nice and will translate between the two reasonably efficiently, such that if you have a professional application and professional programmers working on it and supporting it, the transition shouldn't be too difficult in most cases, I think. Again, I'm not a programmer. Feel free to leave comments. Adobe will continue to support Flash on a number of major OSs and browsers, OS being an operating system, such as Microsoft Windows or Apple iOS or Android iOSs. I don't know. I put the I there. Why not? They belong to me. This will include issuing regular security patches, maintaining operating system and browser compatibility, and adding features and capabilities as needed. Which is good. It's good they're going to see it through and not just drop it off. They don't actually have to do this. That's something we take for granted from most modern companies, is that they don't actually have to support something they're killing off. So I commend Adobe for that, at least. We remain fully committed to working with partners, again, including them, to maintain the security and compatibility of Flash content. And to see each partner's announcement, click on the links. Again, you can find this at blogs.adobe.com and the rest of the link up there. Adobe will also remain at the forefront of leading the development of new web standards and actively participate in their advancement. I think this is a good idea, and I hope they release some form of Flash that will indeed allow all of the existing content to at least be viewable in an archive readily, rather than requiring an emulator, as most older programs and operating systems now do. You may be familiar with old Nintendo or Atari emulators, or even newer emulators for lots of other things. But in a sense, if you want to view Flash after that point, you're going to have to use something like Iced-T on Linux, or something completely different that will emulate what Flash is supposed to do 3 years into the future. 6, 10, 20 years into the future, whatever it is. It is a pretty big change considering that Flash is a web standard, much in the same way that PNG or GIF is. But then again, it is a closed standard, to be fair. They can do whatever they want with it. This includes continuing to contribute to the HTML5 standard, which they should. They can't just drop this and expect everything to go smoothly. Besides, there's a ton of money to be made in HTML5 and everything else right now, I'm sure. Especially WebGL. I mean, just look at all the things you can do with it. And participating in the WebAssembly community group. Good for them. And, again, please stop doing that. We'll continue to provide best-in-class animation and video tools, such as AnimateCC, the premier web animation tool for developing HTML5 content. I don't know if it is or isn't, but Adobe does have a pretty good track record of giving you good things that you pay for, in general. And, of course, they're going to advertise their stuff on their blog anyway. Flash does belong to them. It's one of the best free things that's been out there for a very long time. Pardon me. Looking ahead, Adobe will continue to provide the best tools and services for designers and developers to create amazing content for the web. So let's hope they stick by that in 3 years. I see no reason why they wouldn't. And hopefully everything transitions well. Maybe they'll even develop a transitioning tool for all the old content so it can be updated as well. Just a thought. Again, it might defeat part of their business model, but in the interest of being open source, I think they should do it. So anyway, that's going to be it for tonight. Just wanted to get on and say that and make sure you're all aware of it. Share and tell your friends that in about 3 years, you'll never have to do a Flash update again. All right, thank you all for tuning in. If you enjoyed that, go ahead and click the thumbs up. If not, you know what to do. Leave a comment down below and tell me your thoughts. How has Flash impacted your life? And as always, this has been Reverend JR, signing off.